We weren't very good. UConn had almost everything to do with that. Thought they really knocked us out of our rhythm offensively. And then our first shot defense was really good. Much like the games we played against them last year. They were really two tough, hard-nosed defensive teams that try to take away what the other team does well. And I thought we did a decent job of that, but we couldn't keep them off the glass. And if you let this team get on the glass and you let them get out, when you turn it over, a live ball turnovers, it's a not. They're going to score. They're just elite at that.
Questions?
Coach, obviously looking at them on film without Kling, obviously Kling coming into the game, can you kind of describe just the impact that he had or has when he's in the game?
Well, his impact is obviously offensively is one thing, but defensively is his ability to protect the rim is elite. Much like we have Kalkbrenner down there that can block some shots and discourage some shots. And I think Donovan's the same way. It's not just the ones he blocks; it's the ones you don't take because he's there that don't show up in a stat sheet, but they certainly impact the other team's offense.
What about their defense made it so tough to score on them?
Well, we didn't make any shots, especially early, to loosen it up. And they were aggressive when Kalkbrenner touched it, getting it out of there. But they're active. They've got a lot of length, and they're a really good defensive team.
Are you surprised by the rebounding total?
Yeah, because it's we're not we're not necessarily built at a couple positions to win those one-on-one battles, but it's something we've talked about for 3 days. And you have to figure out a way to win those. If you get Caravan one-on-one on a blockout, you got to find a way to get him out of there. And same thing. Castle got in there a couple times. You've got to go to them. If you let them come to you, you're going to lose those battles around the rim.
What have you kind of seen from the league this year? Really one of any given night kind of thing.
Yeah, as I just told the team, I think the difference. Obviously. A couple teams are struggling, but the difference between the top and 8th or 9th place is razor thin, and it's execution, it's shot making, it's being disciplined enough to play for 40 minutes, and we had stretches where we played okay, and stretches where our offense was anemic, and that's not going to win in this league.
Coach, you play in a lot of tough environments around the league. Coming in here, students back, $2 beer night. There's a lot. Number one for the first time. How are you approaching it coming in here? Was the crowd even maybe more intense than you thought it might be?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know what your taxes must be higher out here. We have $1 beer night in Omaha, but it was a great crowd, great college basketball environment, and obviously UConn deservedly is ranked number 1 in the country, and everybody should be excited about that. That creates not that UConn needs a bigger target on their back. I don't think it matters what the ranking is next to their name because they're a heck of a team. But they responded to that with a lot of maturity, and the crowd certainly impacts the game in this building especially.
To see this group on tape and then to see them live, look at different parts from last year. Are they a little different live than they are on tape?
Yeah. I think defensively, I was probably more impressed in person than I was on tape. Offensively, they've been incredibly efficient, and I thought we were able to disrupt some of the things they were attempting to do tonight. Like I said, 62 points. I don't know how many possessions there were in the game. Probably around 60 or 62. So 1 point per possession in their building, you should have a chance to win. But they're extremely unselfish. And they've done a good job of filling in the pieces from last year. I think Spencer's brings a lot to the table, certainly. And, the combination of Johnson and Klingon, the way Caravan has, I think, elevated his game from a year ago. And then, obviously, Tristan Newton, I thought, hit 2 just back-breaking shots early when we had a little bit of a lead. And had a chance maybe to stretch it, and he goes back-to-back threes, and I think ties the game. But that's what he does. I mean, he's made big shots for him all season long.
Two more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Obviously, just thrilled to get the win, and the way we got it, I thought was, maybe the most impressive one of the year, for me. Even though, we missed 45 shots, which is a lot of shots. But I think the question marks about this team and its ability, to do the things that we aspire to do, were answered tonight. The defense, I thought, was. It looked like a vintage defensive performance for us and a vintage a rebounding performance for us versus some people that are hard to do those two things against. Creighton's one of the best teams in the country. They have the same goals as us, and in terms of the championships that they're going for, and have every right to, because they're one of the best teams in the country. Obviously, doing the job we did on Shireman, Alexander, and Kalkbrenner was the key. And, overall, that's thought we answered a lot of questions tonight about some issues that could hold this team back.
And offensive rebounding was something the last couple of days, or last couple of games that you guys have struggled with. 21-6 tonight. What was different?
We were able to use. We're not. We're an effort rebounding team. We get there with quickness and life or death pursuit. So, the scene under the basket didn't turn into like a tag team wrestling match or a UFC cage fight. We were able to kind of get off bodies and just go and get the ball. And I think we had a really brutal film session. The last couple of games in particular. The last one where we challenged, the manhood of these guys and the warrior spirit, and I don't think we didn't like being embarrassed the way we've been on the backboard, and the boys responded.
The fact that Tristan and Hassan had 8 of those offensive rebounds, what does that say about them, and just like you said, kind of the overall rebounding effort for the whole team?
Yeah, I mean Tristan. I thought Tristan was great today. He was engaged. When you get an engaged Tristan, when you get an engaged Tristan at what he can do on the backboard, what he can do defensively, the things that he sees as a facilitator. He's one of the top guards. I mean, he's one of the best players in this league, and he's having as good a year as any guard in the country. He's got to stay connected. He's got to stay engaged, and then you get games like this. He's got to. It's like public service announcement to him. He's got to. He probably gets fouled more than the 3 free throws he attempted in the game. So he's got to take a different approach with the officials.
What made your defense so good?
And that's me telling him that he's got to take a different approach with him. Oh shit! Huh?
What made your defense so good?
Well, Luke did a great job with the scout. Him and Kamani, they always do a great job with it. But we've been harping on how it has dropped precipitously, Dave. Yeah, I mean precipitously since the beginning of the year. Now, some of that has to do with Donovan, and he obviously changes things, and you saw that tonight. But I just think that's what's going to hold this group back. I mean, we're a tremendous offensive team. With Donovan back, we're going to become more dangerous and better on both ends of the court and on the backboard. Donovan's one of the most impactful players in the country. I mean. It's like you lose, you're the most impactful player. Bad stuff starts happening. You see it across the country with teams. So having Donovan back is going to change everything.
What did you think of his play tonight?
Donovan was good. I mean, you could see some of the rust on the finishes, but that's a guy that practiced twice in the last month, and we truly made a decision at around 4:30 today, 4:30, 5 o'clock. We decided he was going to go. Because he really wanted to, and his foot feels great, and his minutes, he was on a restriction today. Obviously, it was 10 to 15 minutes, and he got to 15. So we just got to hope that he wakes up tomorrow and his foot feels like nothing.
When you see the defense rise rise to that level of energy and efficiency, and I'm sure you're going to want to demand that every single game. I don't know, is it possible to sustain that?
Well, I mean,
forward?
we've been on a good run. I mean, our field goal percentage defense the last couple games has been really, really strong. We've just fouled a lot, and we haven't defensive rebounded. So we've been trending up with our actual ability to force the other team to take not great shots. So, and today we cleaned up the fouling, and we cleaned up the defensive rebounding. We held them to 6 total, but 3 of which were dead ball. And, Kalkbrenner, we held him to 1 offensive rebound. So, yeah, I mean, that's the key to us, winning a championship this year or pursuing championships this year is, last year we were elite on offense, we were elite on defense, and we were an elite rebounding team. That's why we won it.
Dan, it's one thing to say you're the basketball capital of the world. It's another thing to be it. And tonight, this place was unbelievable.
Crowd was awesome, man. It was awesome from the start. It was awesome from the anthem with the group of that group of singers, young singers. The Rolling Tones did a great job. So we'll book them again, obviously, bring them back into the fold. I thought the crowd was into it, though. When the crowd's into it, it's funny how it has effect on all of us. Like, I never got crazy out there to try to get the crowd incited or our players were able to just kind of play the game because the crowd was on autopilot. Our students were here. I walked in an hour before the game. The student section was packed with white shirts. Everyone was like, blue or white in here, and they never needed prompting. They had a huge impact on how this game played out today. And the students were just crazy. When I walk out of that tunnel right before the anthem and they get on their feet and start going crazy, that sets the tone.
Dan, it was 19-5, second chance points, 36-20 in the paint. You talk about attacking the rim, but can you just talk about that kind of aggressiveness?
And that is hard to do versus these guys because they're everyone talks about Mac's offense because he's such a, he's a great coach. He's one of the best coaches. The Big East has all of these unbelievable coaches. It's like every night. It's like just great coach. And but his defensive scheme with Kalkbrenner and their ability to take away 3-point attempts and the drop and what they take away at the rim, they got us into. They had a lot to do with us missing 45 shots. We settled for some bad middies that we'd like to get back, but we were just tough, man. We were Big East tough. We were Warrior. We were man shit tough tonight,
Did carrying the number 1 ranking into the building help that at all? I know you won the whole thing last year, so it's not, don't understand what it feels like to be number 1, but to take that number next to your name into a crowd like that.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't. You can't lose. You can't lose the next game after you're ranked first. I think we all knew that coming in. The problem was we were playing one of the best teams in the country here. So, and again, we weren't sure what Donovan was going to look like out there. He's missed so much time. It's amazing what he did tonight. But I mean, our mentality should be again like it's like carrying around a belt, man. It's like carrying around a UFC heavyweight belt or some type of WBC boxing belt, man. And you do got to treat it like when you're number 1 in the country, man. I just think that it's not going to have any bearing on how our season goes, regular season, Big East tournament, national championship, Final Four, Elite Eight, any of that shit. But it's like, somebody should have to pry it out of our lifeless body and our dead hands. I mean, we should play so hard to keep this thing right now that somebody's got to rip it out of our lifeless body.
I know it's early, but has this been important in the sense that I know, Big East regular season means a lot to you and the team. This helps a lot in that sense too. Again, early, but
yeah, it's early. I mean, there's so much season to go, and I think obviously we've got I think we're tied with Seton Hall. I think we're tied with Seton Hall, and obviously the advantage for us is we're tied and we have a home game with them that they must return. I'm not sure which arena we're playing in. Where? Yeah, Shah, we were definitely bringing you to Gamble this year, Shah. Yeah, I mean, last year we played from behind in conference. It sucked. To do what this team's done, dealing with the injuries we dealt with Donovan, we put ourselves in a great spot.
Yeah, did Donovan say something in particular to you at 4:30 where you said, yeah,
It was earlier in the day. It was post shoot around. I think we just went through what couldn't happen tonight was like some type of re-injury. Like we couldn't bring him back too soon, and he wanted to get back desperately. He's not, he's a throwback. We've got great men in our locker room. We've got a really great culture where we have all the right people in that room. So, he really wanted to play. He fought to play. We tried to talk him out of playing and to get a couple more practices and maybe return for the Villanova game. But he knew Kalkbrenner was out there, and he feels really, really healthy and wants to start to get the rust off so that he starts getting to his best soon.
you alluded to it also. It's one thing to have him come back, but his impact was immediate. It was tied when he came in and it was 15-4.
Yeah.
So that's kind of unusual for anybody coming off an injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most impactful players in the country. The analytics tell the story about how our defense improves when he's on the court, how our offensive improves when he's on the court, how our rebounding improves when he's on the court. This goes back to last year and obviously, this year. And the group really held down the fort with him out. And, I think that he's going to elevate the play of everyone around him. I think you're going to see Sampson. I thought Sampson was better tonight than he's been, and he battled his butt off today. But Donovan's going to elevate everyone.
Dan, could you talk about how Sampson's defense has improved since the beginning of the year and has progressed?
I think he's learned a lot from. I think he's learned a lot. Again, when we get to NCAA tournament with Sam's going to be playing with much less physicality and wrestling, and he's going to look like that player from the non-conference that was rolling and dunking. But it's a street fight in the Big East, and doesn't necessarily play into his physical makeup and his style of play. But I thought his 23 minutes and the way he was able to to kind of limit Kalkbrenner in the roll game. He was able to front him and break the contact, some things he's been struggling with. I think he learned a lot from his last couple of games where he's been in foul trouble. And I think Donovan being back, knowing he had him kind of, supporting him off the bench, I think it psychologically probably helped him.
Steph took 12 shots today, but he was more aggressive. They weren't falling. Is that a message for him to take more shots when he's open?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously... he should have went up and dunked the one in transition. The only thing I didn't like was the middies. I didn't like a couple of the middies. I think the one in the first half and the one in the right wing, those are ones. But they do that to you because their defensive scheme is ridiculously good. Yeah, but the threes, I mean, he's got, he doesn't have a problem as a shooter. I mean, his threes look good. They were back rim. He made a big one in the second half to get us going. Steph is, I just thought the job he did defensively today. I mean, he played against a guy in Shireman that had 113 more college games than him. And to play him with the discipline, and he obsessed over where he was on the court, and he stayed out on the shot fakes. Steph's defensive effort was a difference maker.
Is that number exact? Did you use that as some sort of motivation? 133.
It was
133.
He had 133 more college games.
144 to 11.
Yeah, so he had 130, and that was his matchup today. And Shireman's an NBA player, and he's one of the best players in the country. And he's going to play in the NBA for 14, 15 years and make a lot of money. And Steph just, I thought he did a really, really good job there. And it wasn't motivation. It was more like, holy shit, this guy's going to get schooled. Later.